We've got everyday, we've got high powered, and we've got low cost.
Rather than just like reading the specs of what's out there, what have you actually experienced with each individual product?
We're not getting paid for this.
Yeah, exactly.
So
we can be as honest as we want. What are the differences between these compact bases? Are they all not just the same?
I'm putting on my glasses, Justin. Everyone's been kidding me on all day. I can see.
Wow.
So I am very professional and I have made notes.
Oh, there you go.
Justin, on the other hand, is just super intelligent and has it all in his head.
Let's look at the most challenging areas. Which one's going to climb better? I've even had experiences like going up a hill and then like up a ramp and it probably like slides down. But that could be the suspension's not right. But
yeah,
I've just had like not super great experiences with that sometimes.
The Stretto's always great with the kids as well. Like on the pediatric side, always you can put a really nice small seat on there.
I just find that the suspension, like I've even been told by a rep to the Edge 2 is actually better for kids because the suspension's a bit softer, like the springs don't.
No, it's a good performing chair, as is, to be fair, the Permobil as well. But in terms of what we're talking about, I think that the Q300 may just edge it on the climb. Okay, I'm going to get you to commit. Every day, where we're going. Battle of the Midwheel.
On God.
Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 3. Get ready. Battle of the Midwheel. Battle of the Midwheel.
On God.
So we thought, as episode 3 nearly end, we thought, what are people going to be really searching for? And really, one of the things that we do talk about a lot is mid-wheel drive chairs.
Yes, one of the most popular of all the chairs that are out there, and there are so many different types. Do we need this many types? Is there unnecessary competition in there? Like
I'm putting on my glasses, Justin. I can see.
Wow. It's like Superman. I didn't recognize.
So I am very professional and I have made notes.
Oh, there you go.
Justin, on the other hand, is just super intelligent and has it all in his head.
I'm going to use your dog as inspiration for my...
Really, in my life, if I didn't have post-it notes, I should really just have loads of post-it notes everywhere. Is that going to work? But yeah, look, coming back to mid-wheels, what we thought was, and I think if everyone was listening would probably get on board with this, we wanted to really put it down into 4 different categories, didn't we? We said we would have a compact.
Yes.
We've got everyday.
Yes.
We've got high powered, and we've got low cost.
Yes.
All right. So let's talk about that and put it down. But what chairs
fit in which category?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
one we were talking about?
All right. So let's go Permobil. All right, because that is one of the most popular chairs on the market.
Yes.
And by the way, guys, there are a lot of wheelchairs that we won't be discussing, but we want to really talk about prescriptive wheelchairs. So we feel the ones that we've worked with the most, and really the top end chairs that we're working with are the ones that we're going to be discussing. But we do apologize. There are other chairs that we do think are excellent out there that we may not be discussing today.
This is just our experience for chairs that we've personally worked with a lot. So rather than just like reading the specs of what's out there, what have you actually experienced with each individual product?
Yeah. But hey, by the way, if there is anyone that's got an opinion on any other chairs and they want to link into us and send us a message, like, get in touch.
Come in. We're happy to have a rep on here to tell us why your chair is so good.
Not sure about that. No, I don't.
Because we'll just know that we'll put you through your paces. Like, we're not going to be shy. We're not going to be like, oh, it's a great product. But we're
not getting paid for this.
Yeah, exactly.
So
we can be as honest as we want.
Yeah.
So let's go through our first. So what was our first category?
So we talked about, let's talk about compacts.
Okay, compact.
So in the Permobil, we want to talk about M1.
I wouldn't say I don't think it's as compact. That's more of a low cost one.
Okay.
I'd say your compact chairs that I work with personally would be your Quantum Stretto.
Yeah.
And your Q500 Mini, also known as your Q300, depending on what kind of seat you put in. But the mini base and the Q300, like to the Z300, like for the pediatric base, they would be your compact base. I guess your koala, but your koala is more pediatric.
Yeah.
Is there any other compact base that you know of?
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got a Dietz. I know you're not hugely experienced in Dietz, but you've got a Sango Slimline.
Yep.
But, that is pretty compact, to be fair to it. However, it does compete in the other range. But if you were talking Q300, for instance, and the Stretto, then it's definitely in that.
Yeah. I'd say anything that's like, there probably is a measurement, maybe like under 500. But what's the width of those? Do you have the specs on?
Of course I do, because I have done my research. And really, you should know this because, we
520 millimeters.
Yeah, they're not far off, by the way. So if we're talking in width, actually the Dietz, and if we're talking 14-inch casters, that's important to, 14-inch drive wheel.
Yep.
That's important to measure because obviously if we go 12-inch, then we're going to make it slightly narrower. But let's work on 14.
Yeah, keep consistency.
All right. The Dietz is currently at 510.
510.
Okay, which is the narrowest coming up. But then your Stretto's only 520. It's only 10 mil difference. And also the 300, the Quickie 300, Q300 is also 520.
Yeah, so it's almost negligible, right? 10 millimeters, 1 centimeter, half an inch, whatever. So it's not that much difference in between them.
Actually, sorry, 520 with 12 inch. The Quickie Q300 is actually 570 with 14s.
Oh, there you go.
So
But
there's
even
actually
then,
a
that's
little
still
bit.
like 5. That's like 5 centimeters, right?
Hey, listen.
Take what you can get.
Yeah. But no, there isn't, I think. But if we're going to be, if we're going to call it as it is.
But I would say they all fit within that range of a compact base.
They do.
And the first thing I'd say about compact chairs is that don't even touch them unless you're got a seat width of 16 inches or under. Because I think if you're over 16 inches, then what's the point?
Because what you're saying is the seat base is going to overhang.
Yeah. I mean, and it depends on what kind of armrest you go and how wide. The widest point of a chair is always going to be your armrest.
True.
So if you've got a wide client sitting on a narrow base, it doesn't really matter how narrow your base is. I have had a case where it does matter for getting into a car because they had a very narrow, it was like the clearance down here would need it to be narrow, but we had more room up higher.
Okay.
So it didn't matter too much. But generally speaking, if you're ever going to go a compact base, if they're more than 16 inches in seat width, I wouldn't even consider it because the arms are going to be wider themselves.
Okay, so let's break this down because we've kind of gone straight into it, but let's just for the people that are listening that may not have the experience that maybe we do in terms of what is the benefit immediately to a mid-wheel drive. Let's talk about base first, and then let's come back to that. Okay, so mid-wheel drive, clearly we all know you would say has the best turning circle.
Yes, can turn on the spot.
Yeah,
I'd say it's really easy to drive because you're sitting on top of the drive wheel, so it's quite intuitive. It's pretty good going up and down curbs because you've got wheels in the front and on the back. They generally perform pretty well. They're good for everyday use. But yeah, being the most compact is the reason why people would go mid-wheel drive.
What are the negatives before? Let's be honest about that.
Negatives, I would say, is
foot plates.
Yeah, your foot plates. So if you've got caster arms on the wheels, the caster forks, and you've got wheels, you can only have you got 2 options for leg rest. You've either got swing away leg rest or center mount.
Yeah.
Now we can get into that, but generally speaking, center mount's better, stronger, more compact, less metal work, less hardware, better elevating leg rest, all that stuff. And you can have it at a 90-degree angle, so you can tuck them right in. Whereas on swing away leg rest, you have to have them further out, otherwise they'll hit the front.
Correct.
Casters.
You wouldn't be able to have a 90-degree swing away because it's going to hit the front casters. I mean, yes, you may get lucky and you've got, if you're talking pediatric, you've got a short leg length, but even then it doesn't really work as effectively.
Doesn't work.
Right?
So you have to have hangers that come out longer, which makes the chair longer, which can put a stretch on your hamstring, which can be not as comfortable. So generally speaking, a center mount is going to be better for that. So mid-wheel drives can have the problem is that when you have a center mount, your legs have to sort of sit a bit more, they might be neutral and they might internally rotate here. Whereas ideally you want to have your legs out here. So you want a wide center mount full plate, but you can't do that because you've got caster wheels in the way. So this is where I really like front wheels because it allows your legs to sit a bit wider.
That's true.
That's the downside of mid-wheel drive. Historically, depending on which chair you get, they can high center, I find, is that if you're going up a curb, your front casters will go up the curb, and then your middle wheel will just get stuck in it.
I see this a lot. I mean, we traditionally, even taking the chair up our ramps in and out the van, some of the mid-wheel drives don't perform very well.
We'll talk about which ones do well and not well. I call it the ramp test. Which ones go well, which ones don't.
And this centerizes exactly the issue that you will experience sometimes with the with some of the mid-wheel drives, more so than obviously your front wheel or your rear wheel.
I even think slow speed climbing is trickier on a mid-wheel because you've got those wheels you need to, if you go over a lip, when you've got sliding doors and they've got to go over
threshold.
It might only be that big, but you've got to do it at slow speed because you've got glass, the person's not a confident driver. Because you're pushing those casters over it. You actually need a pretty off-roady, beefy chair, like a high-performing chair, because at slow speed, you've got to push it nicely without it going shoom. Like it's kind of like, if you have to send it, then that's a problem. So this is where front wheels, because they're middle wheels going on it and it just climbs over it. Because your front wheel is the one that's pulling the chair over it. They perform a bit better. But,
I mean, when they brought out mid-wheel drives, they never thought they were going to survive. They never thought it was going to be a worker.
Like, rear-wheel drives and there's a few front-wheel drives. But the mid-wheel drives came in. But now, like, mid-wheel drives do about 80%. Probably what I do.
Same here, but in mainland Europe, it's not the case.
They're more front wheels.
They are, or rear wheel, but the mid-wheel drive is not. It was like really brought out for like the UK market from our perspective, but clearly the Australian market's similar.
Well, generally speaking, mid-wheel drives, at least in the market I work in, pretty common. Pretty common because they're compact, they're easy to use. People love them.
Yeah.
So let's go through can we go back to the compact now?
Yes, we can. So let's go back. But I just think it was important because
Yes,
if people are listening and they're maybe not got as much knowledge, like, hang on a sec, why would I use that? Why wouldn't I use that?
You'd pretty much default always to a mid-wheel drive first.
It's like a hybrid, right?
Yeah.
Let's call it
It's
that.
kind of like you wouldn't do a power wheelchair trial without a mid-wheel drive, unless someone was in a front wheel and they knew they wanted a front wheel. They've been through the whole process.
I agree. I mean, like we agree. Like that stats up about 80%. Yeah, about right.
So when I do trials, I do 2 mid wheels or a mid wheel and a front wheel.
Yeah.
But most of the time, it would be 2 mid wheels. So mid wheel drives really good because most people want a compact base, they want a stable base, and they want it easy to drive.
Yeah.
So based off that, what are the differences between these compact bases? Are they all not just the same? We have Quickie Q300, we have the Quantum Stretto, and the Diet Sango
Slimline.
Sango Subline.
Slimline, not subline. Slimline.
Slimline.
But yeah, that's right.
Have you found any differences between those brands?
Essentially, in terms of drive capability, look, that is a really, really good question because I would say if you're putting third-party seating on, then so the Quickie, they come with the Sedale seating, but you can order a third-party back. So you've got the different backrest canes. Therefore, third-party backs are not an issue at all.
Yep.
Deets are also not an issue with that. In terms of application, both are easy. I'm talking this through, but I don't have a favorite. I think that.
Have you found that one over the other? Like, have you had the opportunity to trial 2?
Yeah, of course. And we would say that they're probably 50-50. I think a lot of the people aesthetically maybe go for the 300 more than the Sango.
Yep.
However, because of the advantages of the Sango, like the width is slightly less, and it's got the lowest seat to floor height.
What's the seat to floor height on the Sango?
The seat to floor height on the Sango, now you've got me on that because that is it, but I know it goes to about 16 inch. So that's particularly low.
For the users at home, most chairs are 17.5 inches from the floor to the seat pan. Some chairs would do 16.5.
Yeah.
I think the Quickie is 16.5. If it's 16, that's
it's really low. It's the lowest on the market for sure. I will come back to you on that.
The TA IQ is the lowest. That's got 14. Seen that one?
No, I have not.
TAIQ. I haven't worked with it, but they do it in Australia. It's 14 inch low seat to floor height. The differences between the compact chairs is mostly going to be your suspension, how well it can climb. Because whenever you go a compact base, something's got to give. And the thing that usually gives is how well it climbs. And I find the best one that climbs, I actually find is the Q300 for 2 reasons.
I agree. I was literally about to come in and just say, carry on.
I think it climbs better for 2 reasons. I think it's got bigger front casters, which is good. So it helps. Bigger wheels often roll over things a bit easier, and it still maintains the 4-pole motors. I know the Stretto has 2-pole, and I know not everything is about the poles. The poles is kind of like your V6 versus your V8, but it's not all about, like, a V6 can outrun a V8 depending on other factors. It's not everything, but it's a good indicator of how powerful a motors would be. Like when you compare like for like, a 4-pole motor is going to be better than a 2-pole motor. Yeah. So that still maintains the 4-pole motors.
The seat position on the Q300 is very central to the base as well.
I found it's like really forward. On the kids, maybe for the kids, but for the Z300, I always find, well, at least in Australia when they manufacture them, the center of gravity is always, it can go back, but they always set it so far forward. So,
all right, interesting.
But it can go, like you've got adjustable center of gravity, so that can keep it a lot balanced. So I think you got bigger motors, you've got larger casters, and just in my experience, it just climbs better.
Performs pretty better, but
How does the Diets do?
No, it's a good performing chair, as is, to be fair, the Permobil as well. But in terms of what we're talking about, I think that the Q300 may just edge it on the climb, which is what I was about to say. And I actually think it's just the way it performs in terms of the center of gravity, that positional position, the way that it performs it just seems to do certain gradients that the other, it's not that it doesn't do, it just has that smoothness to it.
But at the end of the day, the trial will tell everything. So it might perform better in terrains that I've experienced, with clients' weights that I've experienced. Like we all have our own individual experiences. It's hard to compare like for like, but when you do the trial, that's the one thing you're going to look at. Let's look at the most challenging areas, which one's going to climb better. I actually really like the Q300 as well out of all the bases, because the Stretto I find has a big butt. And what I mean by a big butt is that when you use it as an attendant, you always kick its butt. So it's got, because the batteries are rotated this way to make it narrow, it just has a bigger butt on the back. So when you're using it as an attendant, you just find you kick it. Whereas on the Q300, I find the attendant comes out a bit further and you've got more room for your feet. And for me, when I'm using with kids, if I'm using it with kids who are in the chair, more often than not, you're going to have an attendant control. I mean, probably like 50% of the time, power chair has an attendant control. So you've got to think about how does it work for the user, but also how does it work for the attendant? Because I would hate if I was to use a Stretto as an attendant user, I would probably find it really frustrating if I had to care for someone and use that chair. Like when you have it in tilt, it'd probably be fine because it comes back a bit more. And maybe I would ask for an extension to come out further. But I think generally speaking, that's where I like the Q300.
Yeah. I mean, look, mid-wheel drives are not the greatest for attendant controls either because of the nature of how the casters work in the 6 wheels, the 2 wheels at the back, and just the way that they kind of in-rig as such. But
just bear in mind, mid-wheel is not the best, but rear wheel is the best because you're closer to the back. You've got the attendant control at the back, so your pivot point more natural. Whereas front wheel is the worst because your pivot point is at the front. So when you turn left, it swings so far away from you. Whereas rear wheel drive, it's so intuitive. So just in terms of like the differences between the bases, rear wheel drive best for attendant. So if it's only attendant, then maybe you might want to consider that. But it's also still a long base, so I wouldn't do a rear wheel for that reason. But that could be a reason why you might use a rear wheel if you've got plenty of space and you need it really easy to drive. Mid-wheel drive is very common for attendant driving. Front-wheel drive, not impossible, but also not preferred for attendant driving. But not impossible. Like I could do it fine, but just for someone using it for the
But that's
first
Justin.
Yeah, I can do it because I'm amazing.
And again, we can talk about attendant controls on a separate episode, but like, you know, you guys using the Scoot out there, using the traditional...
Very rarely. It's pretty expensive. It's like, I don't know, the equivalency of like 6 cushions, like 6 J Fusions. I don't know what your pricings are, but
yeah, I mean, it's roughly anywhere between like £2,500 and £3,500, depending on where it's coming from. It's
ours is about
definitely
$5,000 or $6,000.
Yeah, which is right. We were working that out, so it's exactly right. It's same similar sort of money.
It's
a lot of money, but it is a good product.
Solves a need.
And we have had a lot of carers or parents, family, husbands, wives, whichever, that have really benefited from having the Scoot. Because they just can't get to grips with the traditional controller on the back.
Yeah, I'd say that in terms of going back to the compact bases, I would say those are the main ones.
Yeah. So Justin's picks. It sounds like you'd probably be in the Q300.
I'm Q300, but I've done my fair amount of Strettos as well. People who like the base, sometimes the seating system works better from going power seat functions.
The Stretto's always great with the kids as well. Like on the pediatric side, always you can put a really nice small seat on there.
I just find that the suspension, like I've even been told by a rep the Edge 2 is actually better for kids because the suspension's a bit softer. Like the springs don't.
It can be a bit clunky.
Yeah, like it doesn't sink into these like lulls as well for kids. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
So I haven't done enough testing to compare Edge 2. Like, it'd be good to have I get one of my little cousins and get them to drive it and see which ones works better, all in due time.
Okay.
One day when we become professional YouTubers, we can do it.
Okay, so moving on, right? Let's talk about, should we go, we've done compact, let's talk about everyday.
Everyday. So everyday to me is like your flagship. Like M3, Edge 3, Q700. They're the 3 main ones. What do you do?
Very, very similar. We're exactly, I mean, isn't that unbelievable? Another outside of the world. Oh my God. Look, I mean, I've mentioned the Deets as well. I mean, that kind of is that hybrid chair as well. But yeah, we're talking the same language there. Any sort of preference on those?
In terms of getting the right seating and putting things in the right spot, I love Permobil because I find the corporate seating is just so adjustable. I find I can put the thigh guides where I want them to go. The corpus back is good. It's got your laterals, you can go up and down easily on it. I find even just for me, setting up is quite easy. It's just easy to pop things on and off. And you can do it with the Quantum as well, but I just feel like the Permobils, I feel like if someone's complicated, I can make magical things happen more with the Permobil. I can get things positioned in better ways. And you can do it with Quantum as well, but I find it's harder. Like you might have to do aftermarket stuff. Like even their thigh guides. Have you seen like the stealth thigh guides? I really hate them because you can't if you've got a 16-inch wide chair, the thigh guides sit on top of the cushion, so it makes the chair 14 inches wide. But like with Permobil, you can put them like in line with it, so you can, the knuckles can go on top of each other. You can.
I mean, I've got to be honest. I don't use the corpus seating as much as what I possibly could do. I do a lot of third-party seating, so like maybe I'll look at getting a spec seat cushion that would have the thigh guides internally within the cushion, as opposed to using that. I may use like products that are from third parties, like Gelevations, because you can get some nice swing away thigh guides on there. Don't get me wrong. You could still then, use the thigh guides from Permobil and then change the seat cushion because you can put it on the outside track. There's lots of different options you can do.
Yeah, I think there's probably 3 parts of all these conversations we should be having: is the base, the electronics, and the seating system. So this is just looking at the base.
We should only be talking bases because we're having the battle of mid wheels.
Okay, battle of mid. Okay, base. So ignoring the seat. So if they all have the same.
We're not talking
electronics.
seeing.
Okay, base. I would say I've had a lot of great success with the Q700 in terms of suspension. I find it even going up hills or even like I've seen it like.
I mean, the Q700 was a big chair.
And it's a big chair. It's a wide chair. It goes down gaps the best. Like you can go off a gutter and it will just like spider track, all that stuff. But I find I've even had experiences like going up a hill and then like up a ramp and it sort of like slides down. But that could be the suspension's not right. But
yeah,
I've just had not super great experiences with that sometimes. And I find the casters are a bit small.
For the size.
Yeah, for the size of the chair. It's just my experience, guys.
No, yeah,
don't hate
You're
me.
saying how it is.
But it's I'd say with bases, they're all pretty similar in terms of their climbability, going down ability, smoothness in the suspension. I can't really tell the difference, but I have been told that the Quantum chair is the smoothest on the, like, if you're just driving along the road in a bit of cobblestone.
Like maybe gravel and stuff like that.
Yeah, because they use oil dampened suspension as opposed to gas strut suspension.
Yeah.
So that's like differences between the M3 and the M5, which is the type of dampening they use.
Yeah.
So the Quantum has like dampeners. Like the oil is like what they use in cars. It smoothens out the bumps a lot more. But I find the Permobil is also, yeah, I find it's just a bit. So I've had the Quantum like spin out on me on sometimes, like when you're going up a gutter. You guys call them gutters here?
Yeah.
Just making sure the terms. You're trying to go up and then one wheel catches and it sort of like spins out.
Yeah.
And maybe because it doesn't have the AccuTrack motors, or I don't know why it does it, but I've had that and clients are like, ooh, no, thank you.
Okay.
Whereas the M3, I've just found it's always just been like a stable, good chair. It doesn't do weird things. It drives nicely. It climbs okay. It's not like, there's other, like the off-the-road chairs that are a bit better, but it's a pretty good all-rounder base of a chair. It's a bit wider, I think, than the Edge 3. The Edge 3, I think people like the look of the Edge 3. It's smaller, it's more compact.
Yeah, but you're talking, I suppose if you're leveling it up against like an M3.
M3 or Q700, people look at the Edge 3 and they think, oh, that looks more compact. And it probably is more compact.
I mean, we would have the Q500 here.
Yeah, we have the Q500. I see that more like it sort of sits within that lower cost. It does cost a lot less than the other ones.
Yeah.
But our Q700 would be on par in terms of cost-wise.
Okay.
Flagships. Q500 is kind of like in between. It's not like a low cost one, but it's not.
I just find that with the Q500, you're just not going to that side, so on a practical level, it can just be a little bit more practical. However, I do get the suspension scenario and I have experience with scenarios that you've just sort of said. And if somebody's going to be doing a lot of outdoor over terrain, then that's the consideration that may be the reason why one may go for another. But if they're coming home and they need to get it through some doorways and things, then, we may need to evaluate that.
Yeah. I've also found with the Quantum suspension, it doesn't have like the Stretto version. It doesn't have those rear shocks. It's got like that transverse.
Yeah.
Like that. I don't know why they do it. Someone explained to me once and I can't remember why they would have suspension going this way instead of this way on the chair. But I've had a client who was alternate control and we're doing a head array and then he was coming down a lip. So going down the lip was good. It was like boom, casters, boom, wheels. And then because there's no suspension on the back, it just goes thud. I just hurt his back. And it wasn't that much of a lip. It was like probably that much. But because it just goes middle wheel tire and then back casters and there's no softening into it. It just goes, oof. And so that was he was ooh, no, thank you. But it was like, again, if we're just talking bases.
New rep, please.
It's just out of my ass.
Yeah.
No, well, then we tried the next gen. Like that was like an example of where it done well.
Okay, I'm going to get you to commit every day. Where we're going?
But looking at the base only.
Come on, Justin.
I'll say M3, just for like safety and just
nice chair,
reliability.
Nice chair.
Yeah,
I wouldn't argue with you on that one. High powered.
I would say we have the M3 Magic 360.
Yeah.
The M5.
Yeah. And then
I don't really do the Edge Z, but that is the Quantum's version of the high-powered one. I don't have a lot of experience with it. But do you have what do you do for your big boy chairs?
Yeah, the 360s are our leader for that at this moment in time. But you've got the Q700, which we would put into that category.
The big boy ones?
Yeah, definitely. Yep. You've got the F5 potentially, but it's not front. It's not front. It's you've got the forefront on the front wheel.
Yeah,
so they're not mid wheels.
Better than mid wheels, mate.
You're trying to stay on target. I mean, 4B, 360 for me.
Yeah. Like, have you done like, I remember I posted about that on LinkedIn and had a lot of people from the UK blow up and they were like, what about this chair? And I don't know if it was a Dietz or what other chairs are
Well,
like.
there's the Dietz Advance, which is good. And then you can get their chunky one as well. And I apologize. I can't remember if they just call it Advance, like sort of outdoor where they've put the larger drive wheels on and the larger casters.
Yep.
I mean, look, the 360 on the 800-watt motors is pretty impressive.
Yep.
The fact that you can change the drive wheels as easy as you can.
Yep.
So if you were going on sort of certain terrain, outdoor terrain, you can then, if somebody's going to be using it in a school environment, you can then just swap it into the narrower
wheels,
tires. Yeah. I think it's got a lot going for it.
Yeah, I think I would say the 360, because the fact that you can have those community tires on there, you can't get those on the Permobil.
No.
And the community tires are like those big boy, like maybe like this wide tires, maybe like size of your fist probably. And they're good because they absorb a bit more impact when you're driving, so it makes it smoother, but also because it gives you more grip. So the bigger your wheels you've got on, as you're climbing something, you've got more rubber hitting the surface, so you can climb obstacles really well.
More traction.
So I would be surprised if there was a terrain that the 360 couldn't do that the M5 could do, or I think Magic would, if you were doing like this track, I would have to guess that the 360 would be the best performance. And keep in mind, guys, we're just talking about the bases. So there's more to deciding which chair is right for a client than just the actual performance of the base.
100%.
Like there might be someone, like just because we're saying 360 doesn't mean, the 360 is right for everyone. There's absolutely, I would say I do more Permobils than I do 360s. And so we can talk about that in terms of other reasons, maybe cross brands later.
Yeah.
But just talking about base performance and what you can do with it.
Yeah, because Autobot have got the B7 as well, like that mid-wheel. Yeah.
That's another thing. I'm like, why did Autobot come out with a mid-wheel drive chair? Like, what need are they solving, and where is this hidden?
Well, I think at the end of the day, they must be losing a lot of business from the other guys. We haven't mentioned them once.
Is it a Me Too product? Like, to me, because when we're deciding, we're also thinking about our relationship with our supplier, how well we can get parts, how familiar our team is. We've got to service these things. So how easy is it to service? How quickly can we get out there and fix it? Like, these are all other aspects that we think about. But just looking at the base, like, why does the B7 exist? Like, what does it do in that other chairs can't?
Yeah, well, I mean, the honest truth is we need to find out, don't we? I don't know we haven't had enough experience with that chair yet because it's not that long out on the market in the grand scheme of things. It's a nice looking chair, actually. You know, traditionally, sorry, Autobot, you make great product, but like as in really, we don't get a lot of callbacks on that product, but aesthetically, maybe it has lacked over, And
that's what Magic 360 had in the past. They had like their V6, which looks like, I don't think it was even with you guys.
Nah, we didn't have it.
They're like their farm. It was like all farm equipment, real simple, robust. Like if a farmer could change a cast iron if they wanted to, a quick bolt. Boom. But it just didn't. It looked like a very agricultural chair. And then they brought it to 360. It performs better, and it looks more like an everyday chair. So
okay, so we are saying, I think we agree on it, that we will go for the high-powered 360 at this moment on a mid-wheel.
360 because of its great climbing capacity, smoothness of ride-in, an option for big boy tires.
All right. We're nearly at the end of the episode.
I know.
So low cost.
Low cost, I would say what I work with is the Jazzy 623, the M1, and maybe the Q400.
Yeah, I mean, you've just named them, and then you've got like the Q200, the Q100.
But they don't have tilt.
Pardon?
They don't have power tilt.
True. But we're talking bases here.
Are they? Yeah, true. But I don't know, they more fit. I've never done the one that Q1 and 200. Are they?
Yeah,
are they scripted?
Yeah, you can script,
okay.
But they're just not as highly prescriptive as the others, but you can. Yeah, but I mean, if you're comparing it against like an M1 or something.
Yeah, let's say with tilt. Oh, it doesn't really matter. I'll say with tilt because I haven't used the Q100 or 200, so I can't comment on it. But with the ones that I have worked with, the M1.
I mean, your Quantums, and then you're going into your Jazzies, like you said. Like,
yeah,
they're low cost.
I haven't found big differences in terms of we're looking at the base themselves. Yeah. Maybe we have to do another episode on like.
I think Quantums and a low cost, they're pretty hard to beat. I think the Q4 or something.
No, I don't know what you guys call it. We don't have the Q4. We have the Jazzy 623. Do you have that?
No, we used to. I think again. Sorry, Jazzy. I'm sure like we call it the Q. This is where it gets confusing. Why did Sunrise bring out the Qs? When the Quantums always have the Qs.
Pick a new letter. I
don't understand.
Quickie, because Quickie and Quantum, they love it.
Anyway, either way, we're going probably with the Pride /Jazzy /Quantum on the low cost.
So I'll look up what it comes up as here if I type in Jazzy.
While you're looking up, I'm going to just wrap this up because our users have got to go inside. They've got coffee to drink and they've got people to feed.
Yes.
So, or people to help or assess. Who knows why they're listening to us or when they're listening to us. But listen, guys, it's been great to be able to thrash this out with the two of us.
Yes.
I think we have got some stuff to add on to the link. Don't forget, follow the link. And what should they do?
They should, I've been told, follow and subscribe.
Follow and subscribe. That's what to do.
And then also, if there's an opportunity to leave a comment, either DM us like individually or leave a comment on the video. But let us know what more information that you guys want to hear, because we're making this for you. We can talk about anything.
Yeah.
And I mean anything. Like
anything.
So just tell us, like, do you want to know more about this detail or that detail? So every episode, let us know what you want, because the people who are commenting and watching it are the ones who are making it for. So
thanks, guys. You've been listening to
We'll Chat.
We'll chat.
We'll chat. We'll chat later.
Yeah.
We'll chat next week. What a great sign off.
I love it.
We'll chat to you later.
Cheers, guys.